How's it going, ladies and gentlemen? My name is CrushOps. Welcome to this very interesting matchup we have today. It is the two decks from the 2022 Arena Starter Kit. I'm playing on the right and my opponent's playing on the left. I find myself mulliganing down to 6 right away, but mulliganing down with blue-white isn't always good, but when it's necessary, it's necessary. My opponent starts off really strong with a mountain. He could have gone for his 1-drop, but he decided to delay it to the second turn. It didn't have haste, but it could have attacked this turn. I go for my own 1-drop. My opponent goes for his duel. And now I buff up my 1-drop with the backup agent, but it's a braided, very good removal from my opponent. It's very good removal in the deck, actually. So the Stinger is buffed up. It should have died as well, but we assumed it gave it +2/+2. We forgot it was just +2/+0. So it didn't die, although it should have. This is one of the many mistakes that happened during this match. But you have to understand there is 2 new players playing, so I go for my own duel, which helps me out a little bit. And I take 3. Well, my Inspiring Overseer helps me out a little. I play a land for turn, which is the land that I drew off the Overseer, so that was lucky as well. Now in this attack, I decide to block with the Overseer and cast Fading Hope, so I avoid all damage. One of the more annoying creatures, Wretched Throng, comes into play. I swing with the Overseer. The Spore Crawler is not supposed to be able to block because Overseer is a flyer, but we had forgotten that as well, so he gets it 1 card. Again, one of the many mistakes that happened in this game. He casts his big 6/6, which I have almost no way of dealing with as of now. In comes my other Overseer, helping me out again. And in comes his Mounted Dread Knight, another threat to my very frail creatures, because it can deal damage. For some reason it attacks. We forgot it doesn't have haste. We assumed he had haste and not trample, but we did calculate for the trample as well. And again, the Wretched Throng, one of the more annoying creatures, because I get to search another copy of it for no reason at all, actually, and I just played immediately, I think. Do I? I do, I played immediately. And then buff it up, just to have something to block with, something that will stop the trampling from happening. And oh dear, already makes him unable to block. Very good play from my opponent. So I'm down to 8. It's looking very grim. I haven't dealt any damage yet. I go for the second Wretched Throng with 1 more target to search, I think. So only one of them will get its death trigger, because I have no more in the deck and it would be a fail to find. He buffs up his knight. And then plays the puppet, or the puppeteer rather. He swings in with everything. And while I make some calculations to see how I'm going to go about this, I decide to do some blocking. And after that, I kill shot his biggest threat, which was the Trampling Dread Knight. And I'm down to 2 life. And there goes the Wretched Throng trigger, the last one in my deck. Untap, upkeep, draw. Play another land, gain a life. And I'm desperately looking for a way out here. Doing some calculations in my mind because I'm a white-blue player. I go for the Geist, but there's a handshake. That was game 1. Won by my opponent swiftly. So starting off with game 2, my opponent mulligans down to 6. I go for the initial island. Immediately he gains a life. I go for the Wretched Throng this time. And Lambbolt Harrier. Inspiring Overseer, then I swing in, they both die. So I get to search off of the Throng. He casts a Sawjack, which is a very good counter to my Overseer. But I go for another Overseer. And then I Fading Hope, scrying one down. Swing for 2, he takes it. And in comes another Sawjack. Didn't see that coming, actually. I swing with both. One of my Overseers die, but the other one deals the damage. He casts a Glorious Sunrise, very good enchantment to buff up your creatures actually. I kill shot his attacking Sawjack. And then go ahead and 7-tail Mentor, buffing my Overseer again, dealing big damage. He casts this big creature. Some calculations here, buffing up everything and then swinging in. But his 6/6 blocks my Overseer. Still, good damage dealt. He goes in for another Harrier. And buffs it up with the Sunrise. But I block all that damage. So now I'm seeing if I have game here, or if I can push enough to make him resign. So I buff up my 1-drop here. And then I decide to attack with everything to bring him as low as I can. He attacks with his big creature, but I block it with the 1-drop. He sees that he's dead next turn. And there is a handshake. Ladies and gentlemen, moving on to game 3. Now at the start of game 3, we are just shuffling, just discussing how this game is going. I decide to mulligan down to 6 again. Whereas my opponent decides to show his hand to the camera. And I try to do the same, but it's very off frame. 1-drop, 1-drop. Finally playing correctly here. I go for the duel to gain a life. I swing in and he blocks. Lambolt Harrier. Very few land drops missed in this game actually. I buff up the thing with Vigilance, and for some reason I tap it even though it has Vigilance. So yeah, plenty of mistakes made here. I decide to block because I really don't like damage, and I keep tapping the creature with Vigilance for some reason. Keep forgetting that Vigilance makes it so it doesn't tap. He goes for the Topiary Stomper, forgetting the trigger, but I remind him of the trigger later. I allow him to take it back, because it's not a problem. He realizes he can't block with it. Read your cards, kids. Please read your cards. Spore Crawler, yes. And the land for turn. I go for another duel. Swing with everything. And again, the Crawler blocks a flyer. He goes for Burn the Accursed on my 1-drop, because he knows that it gets big quick. I remind him of the trigger now, so he decides to put a Forest in tapped. Because I had forgotten about the trigger as well, to be quite frank. Now he has enough mana to cast 2 more creatures, especially one that can block flyers. The Wretched Throng comes in again, he blocks my flyer. Creepy Puppeteer, very interesting card here. Because I could either buff or nerf your own cards, depending on what you attack with. I have no choice but to either block the Puppeteer or block the one with a counter, but I decide to block the one with a counter and kill shot the Puppeteer so it doesn't repeat that again. And there goes another Wretched Throng. Again, very annoying, very hard to deal with. Voldaren Stinger again. Very interesting. Attacks with both. And I Serpentine Ambush, targeting my Throng to make it a 5-5. And then I swing in with my Throng. Serpentine Ambush it again after he declares no blockers to deal 5 damage. He decides to buff the Stinger and I take it. But then I swing in with the Throng immediately. He buffs, he attacks with both. I draw, I do some calculations, and I see it fit to play another Geist. He makes it so the Geist cannot block, but still the Throng can. So I get another search of that, but I'm down to 1 life, and I desperately search if I have game here, because the only life point that matters is the last one actually. Now we're both to 1 life, and here I realize that whatever I do, I am pretty much dead, so there's a handshake. Anyway, thank you guys so much for watching. If you would like to see more content similar to this one, make sure to like and subscribe. I'll see all you guys in the next video. Peace.